welcome to another video edition of Tuesday Tapestries. Nice to have you with us. Today I'm very honored to have with us Father Gustavo Vidal, who's the pastor of St. Mary Parish in West Haven. Also we have with us Shelley Valdez, who is a youth minister at Blessed Sacrament Parish in Sandy. And we have a youth. We have Michaela Mannix, who's with us, a parishioner of St. John the Baptist Parish in Draper. Welcome, one and all. Thank you. Good of you to be here. Today, as you can guess, we wanted to talk about youth ministry. We have a lot of ministries in our diocese, obviously. We reach out pastorally to the aged, to those who are newly born. We have ministry to those getting married, to those who want to celebrate the sacrament of reconciliation. We have Eucharist every Sunday. We have all kinds of ministries in our diocese, in our parishes, and in our schools. But today we want to focus on youth ministry, which is really an important part of our pastoral outreach in the Diocese of Salt Lake City. And so I might just begin with you, Michaela, if I may. Just in your words, what is youth ministry? What does it mean to you?
For me, youth ministry is a gathering of the youth in a parish and them having the opportunity to go out and practice their faith in their community.
Wonderful. That's it. I like that answer. It's so kind of putting your faith into action, in other words. Not something you just go to Mass on Sunday and that's it, but actually living your faith.
Exactly.
Which is what young people like to do. They like to be active and energetic. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. That's wonderful. And how about you, Shelley? What is it to you?
Youth ministry, from an adult perspective, is where, I think it's there to, like you said, to have a community for the kids to be able to gather. As adults, we try to be advocates for them and provide them with a safe place to go and have fun, have camaraderie, so they can feel like they're not the only Catholic around and that they can learn, I don't know, just how to be friends and meet other Catholics. But also, more importantly to us, is it's a place to have leadership formation for the kids to find their place in the church. And then they're going to step into the adult part of the church, and we have to prepare them.
For that
so
step,
the
right.
youth ministry's preparation. We
So
want them to be and serve.
And so what you're both saying, Michaela and Sandy, has the idea of coming together as a community, in this case the young people of the parish coming together, so building that community, finding support in that community, and the church enables you to do that. It gives you the tools to do that, provides the environment. And then to be able though to live that community, to put your faith in practice. It's really what we do at Mass on Sunday. It's coming together as the people of God, being nourished by Christ, and then the priest or the deacon says, go forth and announce the gospel, go out and live the gospel. Father Vidal, from a pastor's perspective, what is youth ministry from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective, I think the youth ministry is very important because we need to keep those kids Catholic, first of all. We live in a state that is LDS. They have to deal with LDS people all the time when they go to school, when they go to their high school and all that stuff. They are challenged all the time there. They are being asked questions about their faith. They are being asked questions about their beliefs, the way we Catholics celebrate our faith, all those things. So I think that youth ministry is very good because that prepares them about their faith. They learn about their faith. Not too long ago, I think it was like a month ago, we were talking about Lent to the kids. And some of those kids didn't know what Lent was all about, okay? So that was an opportunity just to teach them what this important season in the church is all about. And what is very interesting also is when they go and talk to their classmates at the high school, they are able to share their faith with them. It is very interesting to me also that the Protestants, you know, they draw a lot of youth people. Why? Because they have music, and kids are into music big, huge time. So we don't have very good music ministry choirs for the kids. We don't have that. And we need to provide that for them as well, because then they will feel that they are part of the church. If we let them do that, which brings a whole new perspective into the church. You know, we have a lot of old people and all that stuff, but we also need to bring the youth into the church as well.
Right, right. And I appreciate what you're saying, and I know I visited you when you were pastor of St. George, down in St. George, and I want to underscore, because I know how active you were in the ecumenical and interfaith communities down there, and are continuing to have that presence, that it's not a question of being in competition with the LDS or Protestant faith or the Jewish faith or the Buddhist faith or Islam. But I hear what you're saying is that just as those faith members treasure their faith, we want our youth to treasure their Catholic faith. And so it's important for them to understand it, to live it, to really appreciate it, to be able to talk about it, especially if someone says, well, this is what we do in our faith. We want our youth to be able to say, well, here's what we do. So I want to make that point, that it's not that we're in competition or that we're speaking against those faiths. We certainly honor them, and we're simply saying that we, like them, want to treasure, you know, the gift of faith that God has given us as Catholics. What do you suppose, let me just pose this to all three of you, and it'll be interesting because you each bring a different perspective. Father as a pastor, Shelley, of course, as a youth minister, and Michaela as a Ute, as in that movie with Danny DeVito, not Danny DeVito, I forget the name, but what do you do? You know, our resources are stretched in this diocese, and we have parishes, say, in rural Utah, and the pastor may be in his 60s, with nothing wrong with being in their 60s. I hasten to add, as I'm in my 62nd year. But, and the pastor might say to me, well, you know, Bishop, I don't know how to relate to a teenager, or I don't know what to do. You know, what am I going to do? You know, so how could a parish relate to youth when there are limited resources? What would you recommend? What would you say to that? If you were me, what would you say to that pastor who's saying, what do I do? How do I relate to youth?
I would say go out and find the youth that are already interested in it, and then have those people seek out the other youth. Because that's kind of been our strategy at St. John the Baptist, and I would consider our youth group a fairly successful youth group and a very happy youth group.
I like that answer, Michaela. And tell me now, you said, you used the word success in there. What do you mean by a successful youth program? How would that look to you?
I think a successful youth program would be one in which the kids seek refuge in that program. They know that whenever they're with that group, they're going to be happy, and they're going to walk away from the experience happy. And along with that, have a lot of kids in that group, not just 3 or 4 who are very happy when they're there, but 50 or 60 who are happy when they're there, and willing to go out and serve the community and be happy doing that.
So it's kind of like an energy in the group,
Yes.
and a certain sense of wanting to be there, and enthusiasm and excitement.
Yeah.
I wonder, let me test something with you, and please chime in if you have comments, but since it's on my mind, I oftentimes say to priests and to myself that age doesn't make any difference. That I know elderly priests who relate to the youth well, and I know young priests who don't. As a young person, what are you looking for in your priest, your pastor, in terms of attracting you to be part of the youth group?
Somebody who's interested in me as a person, and not just having me there as another statistic. Somebody who is like emotionally invested in me. Like Deacon Paul Graham is our youth leader, and he does a very phenomenal job of connecting with every single person in the youth group, and knowing their background, and being able to have a one-on-one conversation with anybody.
Great. So it's that personal relationship that speaks to young people. Yeah. And I think it speaks to all of us, really. Any other thoughts on that? What are our challenges that you face in establishing youth ministry, and how would you recommend, what would be some ideas you'd have to face those challenges?
I will say that probably the most challenging issue as a pastor is to be available, not only to the youth, but also to the whole parish. Because when you sit there, or when you stand there at the door, when people are coming into the church and you greet them and you tell them or call them by their name, they are so happy and excited. Oh, Father, remember my name. Isn't that cool? Or when you give them a high five, or you ask them, or you tell them, I didn't see you at Mass last week. Where were you? So they know that the pastor is paying attention. that he is interested. And that's some of the things that I do at my parish with not only my youth, but everybody else in the parish. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
And that follows on Michaela's thing, that you're there for them, you're present to them. That, you know, if I were a young person and saw my pastor there, I say, he really cares. I know he's a busy man, he must have 1,001 things to do, and he's taking time to be with us. That says a lot, yeah. Shelley?
I definitely, we're really lucky. We talked about the pastors. I have been, you know, because John and I have done youth ministry for 15 years, we get a lot of phone calls from pastors. What can we do? I've had to answer that question many, many times about what do we do? How do we start a program? What is, you know, especially if there's no money. And it's really interesting because I definitely agree. She's got the nail head on the head. It's not about money. It's about finding some key people.
So this has really been a wonderful show. Anything to add before we wrap up our Tuesday Tapestry?
One thing that I will say that, you know, you can implement any programs in the parish for the youth ministry, but I think that there are probably 2 or 3 key elements that need to be there always when you're doing it, and that is formation. That's one of them. Second is to have fun. And the third is to have some spirituality. So those are the 3 things that I have seen in all my experience that need to be there for the youth to grow and to be cohesive and to be, so everybody will feel that they are part of something that is worthwhile.
Great, we can make that maybe in a little logo, we can make it alliterative: formation, fun, and faith.
Yes.
And we could substitute faith for spirituality. Those are the good elements, that formation, fun, and faith, and that's, and I think that's really hits the nail on the head too, for, you know, maybe making that like a mantra or like a kind of a syllabus for how to put together and have a really exciting youth program. Well, thank you, all 3 of you very much. Michaela, Shelley, Father Vidal, thank you for being with us today. Thanks for being on our little program, and thank you for tuning into our Video Tuesday Tapestry, where we've been talking about youth ministry with Michaela Mannix and Shelley Valdez and Father Gustavo Vidal. May the Lord bless your day, and see you next time.